There's a point in which every creative project I feel like is at the brink of either total destruction or something amazing. I feel like my book is at that part right now, and I really need to lock in and push through. Let me explain my theory. Welcome back to week 16 of Let's Make a Book Baby, where I am taking you all the way from the beginning of starting to write my book until I publish it. This week, since I had restarted the book at week 8, it has been officially 2 months with this new version of the book, and I feel like I'm really deep into the process. If you don't know me, I'm an LGBTQ plus and disabled author and artist, and I started off as a comic author and artist, and then I moved into also publishing books. I've always written and drawn, and so I feel like I can see how a lot of different creative projects that I've tried throughout the years can kind of relate to one another. There's always this point in which it kind of feels like when you've just finished an underpainting of something and it looks like really disgusting to you and not how you want it at all. So like I don't know if you've ever seen an underpainting, but like this happens to me a lot when I am midway through drawing any comic panel or anything. You'll just be like sketching it out, and that's fine, and then you like start to do the line art, and that's like maybe kind of getting into the territory, but then like putting the flat colors without any of the shading or the lighting or anything, it just starts to look terrible. I don't know why this happens. It's like you're making enough progress to feel like, okay, wait, I'm like halfway there. But then that is like the worst point. My dad and I have talked about this before. He's an animator, and I think he can relate to this. A lot of my artist friends can relate to this, but he's always told me that there's that point in which you look at something and you just have to decide to keep going and trust the process, but you probably don't trust it right now because it looks so bad and like nothing like what you want it to look like. I feel like I am just now passing that point of the book, but the only way to get through this period is to just keep going. Basically like put your blinders on like a horse and like not look at the small details and just focus on your goal. So if you haven't heard about the book Baby yet, it is a werewolf romance book. It's very steamy. The two main characters are Ari and Marcus. They are in the Omegaverse in this book, so they are both Omegas, but Marcus is also gender fluid in his werewolf identity. So sometimes he'll feel like an alpha, omega, or beta. And Ari is a trans guy. Since I feel like we're kind of getting into that midpoint of the book, but like actually it's farther than midpoint now, I started feeling like, okay, I think that I can see where I want this to go, except it feels like all of the deeper things that are really hard to navigate are kind of coming out, and it's kind of overwhelming for me. But I feel like now that I am getting closer to the 3/4 of the way through the writing process, I'm starting to see that like, oh, I was just at that dreadful like midpoint where everything feels ugly and wrong, even though that's a terrible thing to say about anything. But it's just, I feel this urge to just keep going because I just know other projects I've had where I'm writing books, sometimes that they just like fall off, and it's always because I stopped right at the midpoint of the book, even if I really love the book. And sometimes it's not even that I think like, oh, this looks bad. It's just like, it's like you're going up a hill and like you see everything down the hill, you're like, that's a lot. Where do I even begin? But like you just start going down the hill, you know? And then it just takes you the rest of the way. That's what I feel like I didn't do for the books that I ended up abandoning that I still really like. And it's like kind of scary to me because I have this feeling of like, oh, like if I don't do this, what if I just never finish it? And that so far with some of my books has been proven true, but I'm pretty sure I could just get myself to go back and finish it. It just feels really weird. So because of that, I was going to try to get all of my ideas down for the rest of this series because I just changed their story into a full series. And basically with Ari and Marcus, they are childhood best friends, but they're long distance. So Marcus lives all the way in Sweden and Ari lives in Oregon in the United States. And they see each other at least once a year, a little bit more than that because Marcus is a global diplomat between all these different werewolf packs. So he like tries to help them resolve issues choose to either remain allies or basically compromise on things that are not good. So he has like a very calm mediator type of feeling to him, where he just kind of recenters the room, and he's just like very friendly and easy to get along with. And Ari is super reserved. He's shy, but he's like his dad, because I wrote this series as a spin-off series based on My Shy Alpha, and his dad is the Shy Alpha in My Shy Alpha. And so like I'm loving that Ari is also kind of carrying that through, but Ari is just such a different creature than Noah, his dad, because he just like has this feeling of, he's just like so straightforward, and like when things are happening, he's just kind of like, oh, well, that was really embarrassing. And then he just keeps going. Like, he has that very, like, what I would imagine a wolf to be like, and like what my dogs act like, where things happen and then they're just like, oh well, and then they just like keep going. Like, I love him so much because he has that type of personality. It's kind of been helpful for me to get through this part of the book where I feel like he is suffering a lot. He also has chronic illness, and that's something that I relate to, so it's been really, really hard for me to get through that. I just finished the scene where that was the main worst part of it, and I'm saying scene, it was like 10 scenes in one. Not really like 10, maybe like 5, okay? But it's very entertaining. It's just like I am at that same point where I'm like, okay, I just gotta keep going, because now we're getting into the weeds of the end of the book, and it's like really daunting. So I'm kind of like, oh my god, how am I going to get through this? Since I have to think now about this story as being a full series, I think I am going to continue writing book 2 and book 3 until it's done, basically. But I'm still going to take you through the process and show you how I'm editing book 1 as I go to write book 2. It's just that now I'm like, okay, there's going to be some spoilers. Like, do I tell you about the end of the book? Do I tell you about all these different ideas I have for books 2 and 3? Like, especially 3, because 3 is going to be a big spoiler. I don't even know if this series is going to fit into 3 books or just 2. I'm starting to just feel like, okay, I'm going to assume it's 2, but it's probably going to be 3, knowing me. Just knowing me. Right now, I have to tie up some loose ends. So Ari, one of his family members, has like a special event happening, so I need to mention that sometime in the book towards the end. There's like some threats looming, so I need to increase those threats at the very least, if not like solve a little piece of it. So I'm kind of excited for that, but kind of like, ooh, this could take a lot of words. Like, I have to see what happens. But usually, since I have such a like thriller oriented writing brain, those are the types of things that are very easy for me to write. Like anything that feels dramatic and emotional, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So far this book, honestly, like even though it has drama, it's like super mushy, and I think that's why it's taking so many words. They're just like taking their time. Even the steamy scenes, they're like taking their time and like being sweet with one another, and I'm just like, okay, this is how it's gonna be apparently. Like I'm trying to rush it forward, but it just can't be rushed sometimes. I think I definitely wanted to add another steamy scene or 2 by the end of the book, but the problem is that because I decided to go like much more detailed, like have a lot of descriptions of everything going on, then I think that makes it take a lot more words than it would otherwise, especially when that is just such a highlight of steamy romance books, which, like, if you don't know, if you're not an author probably, you can't really call your books like, and there's like not much of a distinction these days between erotica and what we're calling steamy romance now, because steamy romance is the best way to describe something without getting your book taken off for no reason, because there's lots of other books that have just as much or more graphic content in it, so you don't want the system to flag you unnecessarily, basically. Some people describe erotica as more of being like, okay, this is like the main focus are these spicy scenes, but I think that a lot of steamy romance now has that as maybe like 50% of the content. My book does not have that as 50% of the content. It does talk about like some things going on because they're like feeling a lot of emotions for each other. But I feel like it's like a good third of the book. Honestly, that's probably going to change. So maybe I shouldn't even say that. Like, just ignore that. The other things that I have to solve in the plot are that Ari and Marcus's relationship has really evolved, and I feel like there needs to be some way that it gets taken to the next level, like some form of like they've kind of decided what they want to do in terms of their relationship by the end of the book at least, and then like the series can just follow how their relationship evolves, because that's how I really like to write things. I know that's really unconventional, but I think it's really fun. And for like the werewolf genre where it's insta love, that's how I am having much more fun with it, rather than making the main conflict centered in their relationship and having them like treat each other poorly or something. Like I don't really have fun writing that, so I try to write like them improving on their communication skills, them figuring out how to say certain things to each other that might feel embarrassing or cringy or something like that. Anyway, I feel pretty good about that. I'm gonna keep thinking about how to get through some of this time period where there's a lot of spoilers, but I can kind of feel the end of the book coming, and I don't know if I have as concrete of ideas as I did have before, because right now a lot of the bigger things I was realizing, oops, that's in book 2, but I think that we are near the end of the writing phase, so I wanted to quickly update you on that. I also wanted to mention that I'm going to be doing a lot more writing on Twitch, and I'm also going to be doing a special donathon, like donation marathon, for a charity event that I am hosting with my friend June at Impulsive June on Twitch and at Impulsive Clover on Instagram. We're basically doing what we're calling Love for Trans, and we did this last year. It was super fun. We ended up raising over $3,500 for the Advocates for Trans Equality. And this year we wanted to share some of that love with Trans Lifeline, because the Love for Trans community and team are wanting to every year annually support a trans charity on the week of Trans Day of Visibility. So that will be the final week of March if you want to keep that on your calendar. And we'll be doing like all different fun games. So if you want to also hear me read part of my book out loud, I have an incentive if you would like to donate, that you can get me to do that on stream, like drop everything and read the read the book. I mean, honestly, I might finish the task I'm doing really fast and then read it, but you know what I mean. I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope to see you there. I hope you're having a good week, and I will see you again very soon. Goodbye for now.